The Deep Space Monitoring Station drifted in complete darkness beyond the edge of the solar system. No lights flickered on its hull, and no energy signatures betrayed its presence to the sophisticated sensors that regularly swept through this region of space. Inside the hidden facility, David Reed watched 12 different alien fleets conduct their monthly patrol routes through what they called Sector 7 Alpha. The aliens had no idea they were being observed. For over 200 years, humanity had perfected the art of invisibility. Every human installation used technology that absorbed electromagnetic radiation rather than reflecting it. Every human ship moved through space using propulsion systems that left no detectable trace. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations flew past human outposts every day without knowing they existed. Reed studied the tactical display showing the current positions of all Federation vessels within a 50 light-year radius. The Corvan Empire had increased their patrol frequency by 30% over the past month. The peaceful Helian traders were avoiding the Outer Rim territories entirely. Something had made the galaxy nervous, and Reed suspected humanity was the cause. 3 months ago, a Corvan deep space probe had detected what their scientists called an anomaly in the electromagnetic spectrum near Jupiter. The probe had been investigating unusual energy readings that human engineers had failed to completely mask during a routine maintenance operation on the Ganymede research facility. Since then, every major Federation species had been searching for signs of unknown technology. The irony was not lost on Reed. Humanity possessed technology that made Federation science look primitive. Their fastest ships crawled through space using crude fusion drives, while human vessels could cross the galaxy in hours using quantum displacement engines. Their most powerful weapons fired concentrated plasma, while humans had learned to manipulate matter at the subatomic level. Yet the galaxy considered itself the pinnacle of technological achievement. Reed's communications officer Tom Bradley approached with a decoded transmission intercept. The message had been broadcast on secure Corvan military frequencies just 6 hours ago. Reed read the contents twice before the implications fully registered. The Corvan High Command was requesting an emergency session of the Federation War Council. They claimed to have evidence of a hostile alien presence in what they called the Dead Zone. Humanity had worked hard to earn that designation. 2 centuries ago, when human deep space sensors first detected the massive galactic civilization beyond their solar system, Earth's leaders had made a crucial decision. Rather than announce their presence to potentially hostile aliens, they would observe and learn until they could be certain of their safety. The strategy had worked perfectly. Humans planted false astronomical data suggesting their solar system contained only lifeless worlds orbited by a dying star. They used advanced holographic technology to make Earth appear as a barren rock from any external observation. Most importantly, they had studied every aspect of galactic civilization. While remaining completely unknown, Reed activated the quantum communication linked to Earth. President Maria Santos appeared on the screen within seconds, her expression already showing concern. She had obviously been monitoring the same transmissions from her Situation Room in Geneva. "How bad is it, David?" Santos asked without preamble. "Worse than we thought. The Corvan are convinced we exist, and they're scared. They've managed to convince the other Federation members that we pose a threat to galactic security. I'm reading military buildup on 17 different worlds." Santos rubbed her temples. The decision to remain hidden had been made long before. Her presidency, but she would have to deal with the consequences. "What's our timeline?" "The best estimate is 72 hours before they make some kind of formal demand. The Federation has never encountered a civilization they couldn't locate and catalog. Our invisibility is making them panic." Reed switched the display to show the Federation's historical expansion patterns. In 400 years of recorded galactic history, no species had successfully resisted Federation contact. Civilizations that tried to hide were hunted down and forcibly integrated. Species that resisted were conquered and their populations relocated to controlled worlds. The Federation called it bringing order to chaos, but Reed recognized it as systematic colonization. Ma'am, we need to consider that peaceful contact might not be possible. Every species in the Federation was absorbed through force or threat of force. Their entire political structure is based on the assumption that they are the dominant power in the galaxy. Santos nodded grimly. She had access to the same historical data. What about our defensive capabilities? We could stop any attack. They might launch. The question is whether we want to reveal our true capabilities. Once they know what we can do, the galaxy changes forever. Reeve thought about the massive defense installations hidden throughout the solar system. Weapons platforms that could destroy entire fleets. Shield generators that could protect whole planets. Manufacturing facilities that could produce war materials faster than the combined industrial capacity of 12 alien civilizations. Humanity had spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment. The communication link chimed with an incoming priority. Message from Admiral Patricia Walsh at Neptune Station. Santos authorized the connection and Walsh's face appeared alongside Reed's on the split screen. Madam President, we're detecting massive fleet movements throughout Federation space. Every major species is mobilizing their war vessels. Long-range sensors show at least 3,000 ships converging on our outer system boundaries. Santos felt the weight of 200 years of careful planning settling on her shoulders. The decision she made in the next few hours would determine whether humanity remained hidden or stepped onto the galactic stage. Either choice carried enormous risks. Admiral, what's the status of our own fleets? All defensive platforms are operational. The Luna Yards finished construction on the final wave of stealth destroyers last month. We have over 800 vessels ready for deployment, all equipped with full quantum displacement capability. Reed studied the tactical projections. Madam President, if they're serious about forcing contact, hiding is no longer an option. We either surrender to their demands or we show them why we've been quiet for so long. Santos closed her eyes for a moment, thinking about the billions of humans who had lived their entire lives believing they were alone in the universe. In a few days, everything would change. The galaxy would learn that the species they had dismissed as primitive had been watching them all along. Prepare all defensive systems, but do not take any aggressive action. If they want to find us so badly, maybe it's time to let them know what they've been looking for. Part 2. The ultimatum. The Federation War Council had not met in emergency session for over 60 years. Representatives from 12 different species gathered in the crystalline halls of the Nexus Station, their various forms of communication, creating a cacophony of sounds that the universal translators struggled to process. Admiral Tiaran of the Corvan Empire stood at the center of the circular chamber, his scaled hands gripping a data tablet containing what he claimed was evidence of the galaxy's greatest threat. Tren's voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded fleets in 3 major conflicts. Council members, what I'm about to show you will challenge everything we believe about our position in this galaxy. The holographic display activated above the council floor, showing a 3-dimensional map of local space with the Sol system highlighted in pulsing red. For the past 18 months, our deep space monitoring stations have detected energy signatures that do not match any known technology. These readings originate from a system we have classified as lifeless for over 4 centuries. Our most recent probe missions have confirmed the presence of artificial structures that appear and disappear without explanation. Council member Vera of the Helian Trade Confederation shifted uncomfortably in her chair. Admiral Tiaran, your people have a history of seeing threats where none exist. Perhaps these readings indicate natural phenomena that your scientists have misinterpreted. Tren's eyes flashed with irritation. Council member Vera, I have brought additional evidence. The display changed to show sensor recordings from multiple Corvan vessels. These are not natural phenomena. We are observing technology that exceeds our understanding of physics. Vessels that move without producing detectable energy signatures. Structures that exist in one scan and vanish in the next. The representative from the aquatic tribe spoke through a water-filled communication device. If this unknown civilization possesses such advanced technology, why have they not made contact? All species eventually reveal themselves through expansion or resource gathering. That is precisely what makes them dangerous, Tarn replied. A civilization that can remain hidden while observing us has been studying our weaknesses for an unknown period. They know everything about us while we know nothing about them. High Chancellor Malik of the Stellar Republic leaned forward. What evidence do you have that their intentions are hostile? Advanced technology does not automatically indicate aggressive purpose. Tiarn activated another section of the display. Our xenorchaeology teams have discovered references to a species matching this description in ancient ruins on 17 different worlds. The records suggest a civilization that observes other species before systematically eliminating them. The texts refer to them as the Silent Hunters. Murmurs of concern rippled through the council chamber. The ancient ruins Tiarn referenced were over 10,000 years old, and their translations were often unreliable. However, the possibility that they faced a species with such a long history of conquest was deeply troubling. Furthermore, Tiarn continued, our attempts to establish communication have been met with complete silence. We have broadcast friendship messages, trade proposals, and diplomatic overtures on every known frequency. Their response has been absolute silence, which suggests they are preparing for conflict. Council member Vera stood to address the chamber. Admiral Tiarn, the absence of communication does not prove hostile intent. Perhaps this species has reasons for maintaining their privacy that do not involve threats to galactic security. Privacy? Tren's voice rose with anger. They have been spying on us for decades while remaining invisible. This is the behavior of a predator species studying their prey before an attack. The debate continued for hours with representatives arguing over the appropriate response to the mysterious civilization. Some advocated for patience and continued attempts at peaceful contact. Others supported Tren's assessment that the unknown species represented an existential threat that required immediate action. Finally, High Chancellor Malik called for order. We must reach a decision. If this species possesses technology superior to our own, delay only increases the danger to all Federation worlds. The vote was closer than Tiarn had hoped, but the result was clear. By a margin of 7-5, the Federation War Council authorized the delivery of an ultimatum to the unknown civilization. They would demand immediate surrender and integration into Federation society or face military consequences. The message was crafted carefully to demonstrate both Federation strength and their willingness to use it. High Chancellor Malik personally recorded the final version that would be broadcast on all frequencies toward the Sol system. Unknown civilization currently occupying the system designated as Sector 7 Alpha. You have been observing Federation space without authorization for an extended period. This constitutes an act of espionage and potential aggression against the sovereign territories of 12 allied species. You have 72 standard hours to reveal your true identity, surrender all military assets, and submit to Federation authority for integration into galactic society. Your civilization will be relocated to appropriate worlds where you can contribute to the greater good of the galaxy under proper supervision. Failure to comply with this ultimatum will result in the complete pacification of your system and the forced relocation of your population. The Federation has successfully integrated over 400 species into our society. Resistance has never succeeded and will not be tolerated. You have been warned. Choose wisely. The message was transmitted simultaneously from over 50 different Federation installations, ensuring that no matter how advanced the unknown species technology might be, they would receive the ultimatum. Admiral Tiarn immediately began coordinating the largest military buildup in Federation history. Within hours of the broadcast, fleet elements from every major Federation world were moving toward the Sol system. 3,000 warships representing the combined military might of galactic civilization began the journey to enforce the Council's demands. Tiarn reviewed the fleet composition from his command ship. Heavy assault vessels from the Corvan Empire, Fast attack cruisers from the Stellar Republic, massive siege platforms from the Industrial Coalition. It was enough firepower to reduce entire worlds to lifeless rock. He felt confident that the unknown species would choose surrender over destruction. Every civilization eventually recognized the futility of resisting Federation authority. The galaxy had learned to accept that order and unity were preferable to chaos and independence. What Tiaran did not know was that humanity had been listening to Federation communications for over 2 centuries. They had observed every conquest, every forced integration, and every civilization that had been eliminated for refusing to submit. The ultimatum contained no surprises and certainly no reasons for fear. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, President Santos convened the Global Defense Council for the final time as a species in hiding. The 72-hour countdown had begun, and humanity would need to decide how to introduce themselves to a galaxy that had just declared war on them. The age of human silence was about to end, and the galaxy would learn what happens when you threaten a species that has spent 2 centuries preparing for exactly this moment. Part 3. The Revelation 68. Hours had passed since the Federation ultimatum reached Earth. The Global Defense Council had debated through 3 sleepless nights before reaching their unanimous decision. President Santos stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva, watching the holographic display that showed Federation fleets massing at the edge of human space. "Are our people ready, Alex?" Santos asked the man beside her. Commander Alex Turner nodded as he reviewed the tactical status on his handheld device. "All ships report ready for deployment. The crews have trained for this scenario their entire careers. They're eager to finally show the galaxy who we really are." Santos touched a control panel and activated the galaxy-wide communication system that humanity had secretly installed in Federation space over the past century. The message she was about to send would reach every inhabited world simultaneously, ensuring that no species could claim ignorance of humanity's response. "Commander Turner, begin transmission." Turner signaled to the communications team, and Santos stepped in front of the recording array. Her voice would be heard by billions of beings across hundreds of worlds, most of whom had never imagined that humanity existed. "To the Galactic Federation and all member species, this is President Maria Santos of the Human Republic. You have issued an ultimatum demanding our surrender and integration into your society. You have threatened to destroy our civilization if we refuse to submit to your authority." Santos paused for effect, knowing that Federation analysts would be studying every word for signs of weakness or deception. "Your ultimatum is rejected. Furthermore, your assumptions about our capabilities are dangerously incorrect. You believe you are addressing a primitive species that can be easily conquered. You are wrong." The transmission ended and Turner activated the deployment sequence that would reveal humanity's true technological capabilities to the galaxy. Across Federation space, over 800 human vessels began decloaking simultaneously. The first ships appeared in orbit around the Corvan homeworld. Sleek vessels of impossible design materialized where empty space had existed moments before. Their hull configurations defied conventional physics, and their energy signatures registered readings that Corvan scientists had thought impossible. Admiral Tiaran stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the holographic display that showed 27 unknown vessels surrounding his planet. His tactical officer reported power levels that exceeded the combined output of his entire fleet. "Sir, we're receiving a communication from the lead vessel." Commander Turner's image appeared on Tren's main screen. "Admiral Tiaran, I am Commander Alex Turner of the Human Defense Fleet. Our forces are currently positioned throughout Federation space. We have disabled your orbital defense platforms and taken control of your military communication networks." Tren's mouth opened in shock as he realized that his homeworld's defenses had been neutralized without firing a single shot. The human ships had somehow bypassed every security system using technology that his people could not even detect. "This is impossible," Tiaran whispered. Turner continued his transmission. "Your fleet movements toward our solar system have been monitored and cataloged. We know the position of every Federation vessel and the capabilities of every weapon system you possess. You are outmatched in every category. Similar scenes played out across dozens of Federation worlds. Human ships appeared in their skies without warning, demonstrating complete mastery of stealth technology and faster-than-light travel. Defense networks that had protected these civilizations for centuries were shut down in minutes. Council member Vera watched from her office on the Helion trade station as human vessels emerged from what appeared to be folded space itself. The humans were using transportation technology that made conventional star drives look like primitive chemical rockets. Her communication system activated with an incoming message from one of the human ships. A woman appeared on screen, speaking with calm authority. Council member Vera, I am Captain Lisa Roberts of the Human Diplomatic Corps. We have been monitoring your trade routes for over 50 years. Your people conduct honest commerce and treat other species with respect. For this reason, we offer you the opportunity to establish peaceful relations. Vera found her voice after several moments of stunned silence. How long have you been watching? U.S.? Long enough to understand that your people are not the aggressors in this conflict. We have detailed records of every Federation action for the past 2 centuries. We know which species chose conquest and which were forced into submission. The revelation that humanity had been observing galactic civilization for hundreds of years sent shockwaves through every government in Federation space. Intelligence agencies that prided themselves on knowing every detail about their neighbors suddenly realized they had been blind to the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Hi. Chancellor Malik received his own visit from human representatives. 2 vessels appeared directly outside his government complex, somehow bypassing the most sophisticated planetary defense system in Federation history. The human commander who contacted him was courteous but firm. Chancellor Malik, your government has issued threats against a species you know nothing about. This was unwise. We are prepared to demonstrate exactly how unwise it was. Malik's military advisors confirmed what he already suspected from watching the reports flooding in from across Federation space. Every major military installation was under human observation. Their most secret facilities had been located and their classified weapons programs documented in detail. What do you want from us? Malik asked. We want you to understand that the galaxy is not what you believed it to be. The Federation is not the dominant power in this region of space. You have been operating under dangerous misconceptions about your own capabilities. The human ships that had been heading toward the Sol system found themselves surrounded by vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. The massive Federation fleet that represented the combined military might of 12 species suddenly looked primitive compared to the elegant human ships that moved through space like living things. Commander Turner led the human fleet that intercepted the Federation forces at the edge of the solar system. The enemy vessels had impressive firepower and thick armor plating, but they moved slowly and their weapons took time to charge between shots. This is Commander Turner to all Federation vessels. You are trespassing in human space. Your ultimatum has been rejected and your threats have been answered. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Admiral Tiaron responded from his flagship. Unknown vessels, you are outnumbered 3-1. Surrender now, and we will ensure your people receive humane treatment during integration. Turner almost smiled at the alien commander's confidence. Admiral, you are about to receive a demonstration of human technology. Please observe. The human ships moved into formation and activated their primary weapon systems. Instead of the crude energy weapons favored by Federation fleets, they fired focused gravitational pulses that disrupted the molecular bonds holding the alien vessels together. In less than 60 seconds, every Federation ship found itself completely disabled. Their hulls remained intact and their crews were unharmed, but every system had been shut down by weapons that attacked matter at the subatomic level. Admiral Tiaron, your fleet has been neutralized. Your crews are alive and will remain so as long as you do not attempt to resist. You have just learned why humanity remained quiet for so long. We were not hiding from you. We were protecting you from the knowledge of how far behind you truly are. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as their most powerful military force was defeated without losing a single human life. The species they had dismissed as primitive had just demonstrated technology that made Federation science look like cave paintings. President Tentus broadcast one final message to the galaxy as human ships established positions throughout Federation space. To all species of the Galactic Federation, this is the end of your old understanding of the universe. You declared war on a species that has been your guardian for centuries. We have prevented asteroid impacts, stellar anomalies, and invasive species from threatening your worlds while you wasted resources on petty conflicts. The age of Federation dominance is over. A new age of galactic cooperation is about to begin. Part 4. The war that wasn't Federation War Council chamber had become a place of shame rather than power. Admiral Tiarn sat in his designated seat, staring at the holographic display that showed human ships positioned over every major Federation world. The vessels maintained perfect formation, their unknown technology allowing them to hover motionlessly in defiance of gravity and orbital mechanics. 6 days had passed since the complete neutralization of the Federation fleet. Not a single human life had been lost in what historians would later call the shortest war in galactic history. More importantly, not a single alien life had been lost either, despite humanity's overwhelming technological advantage. Council member Vera studied the reports flooding in from across Federation space. Human forces had simultaneously disabled military installations on 47 worlds, grounded entire battle fleets, and taken control of communication networks without harming civilian populations. The precision of the operation revealed planning that must have taken decades to perfect. They knew everything about us, she said quietly. Our defensive systems, our troop movements, even our classified research projects. How long have they been watching? High Chancellor Malik activated his personal communication device and reviewed the message he had received that morning from Dr. Robert Kim, the human diplomat assigned to oversee the transition of power. The message was polite but firm, requesting the Federation leadership to assemble for a formal address at noon. At exactly 1200 hours, the main display activated to show Dr. Kim standing in what appeared to be a human command center. Behind him, holographic displays showed the positions of every Federation vessel and the status of every major installation throughout their territory. Members of the former Federation War Council, I am Dr. Robert Kim, Chief Diplomatic Officer for the Human Republic. I am addressing you today to explain the changes that will be implemented throughout what you once considered your sovereign territory. Kim gestured to the displays behind him. For the past 237 years, humanity has maintained observation posts throughout this region of space. We have detailed records of every Federation action, every conquest, and every species that was forced into your alliance through threats or direct military action. The council members shifted uncomfortably as Kim continued. We also have records of the threats your civilizations face that you never even detected. In the past century alone, our intervention prevented 17 asteroid impacts, deflected 4 gamma-ray bursts, and eliminated 12 invasive species that would have devastated your ecosystems. Tiarn found his voice. Why did you interfere? If you possess such advanced technology, why did you not reveal yourselves and offer alliance? Kim's expression became grave. Because we studied your history, Admiral. Every species that encountered the Federation was given the same choice you offered us. Submit to integration or face destruction. In 400 years, no civilization has been permitted to maintain independence while in contact with your people. The accuracy of Kim's statement was undeniable. The Federation's expansion had indeed been built on the systematic absorption of smaller civilizations. Species that resisted were conquered and their populations relocated to controlled worlds where they could be properly supervised. Furthermore, Kim continued, we observed how integrated species were treated. Their technologies were confiscated. Their cultural practices were forbidden. and their people were assigned roles based on Federation needs rather than individual preferences. This is not alliance. This is colonization. High Chancellor Malik stood to address the human diplomat. Dr. Kim, what are your intentions regarding our civilizations? Will you impose the same integration you claim to oppose? Kim smiled for the first time during the transmission. Chancellor Malik, that is exactly the difference between our species and yours. We do not seek to control other civilizations. We seek to protect them from themselves and from external threats they cannot handle alone. The display behind Kim changed to show construction activities throughout Federation space. Massive human industrial ships were building new facilities in orbit around dozens of worlds. These are not military installations. They are research centers, manufacturing facilities, and defensive platforms designed to protect your worlds from the real dangers that exist in this galaxy. Your people will have access to human technology and scientific knowledge, but you will retain control of your own governments and cultures. Council member Vera leaned forward. What real dangers? Our sensors have not detected any external threats. To galactic security, Kim's expression became serious again. That is because your sensor technology is primitive compared to what exists in the deep regions of space. Approximately 18 months ago, our long-range detection arrays identified an approaching threat that your people could not hope to face alone. The display showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy with a section of space marked in ominous red coloration. The marked region was advancing slowly but steadily toward the area containing both Federation and human territories. This is a machine intelligence that originated in the galactic core approximately 50,000 years ago. It views organic life as a contamination that must be cleansed from the universe. Its automated fleets have already sterilized over 10,000 star systems. The council chamber fell into stunned silence as the implications became clear. While they had been focused on conquering primitive species and expanding their territory, a threat capable of destroying all organic life had been approaching their region of space. Our calculations indicate the machine fleets will reach the outer edge of inhabited space within 7 years. The combined military forces of the Federation would be destroyed within hours of making contact. Even human technology will be severely tested against opponents that have been perfecting warfare for 50 millennia. Admiral Tiaran studied the tactical projections with growing horror. The machine intelligence possessed millions of vessels, each one larger and more heavily armed than the most powerful Federation battleship. Their technology showed no concern for the limitations that organic species faced in space combat. Dr. Kim continued his briefing. This is why humanity emerged from hiding now. We could have remained invisible for centuries longer, but doing so would have meant watching every intelligent species in this region of the galaxy be eliminated by an enemy you never saw coming. High Chancellor Malik sat down heavily as he realized the full scope of what Kim was telling them. You are saying that our entire civilization was about to be destroyed and we never knew the danger existed. Exactly. Your internal conflicts and expansion efforts distracted you from monitoring deep space. You were so focused on fighting each other that you missed the real threat approaching from the galactic core. The display changed again to show human ships working alongside alien vessels in joint training exercises. Species that had been enemies for generations were learning to coordinate their tactics under human supervision. The war you declared on humanity was preparation for the real war ahead. Every species in this region must contribute their unique capabilities to have any chance of survival. The Corvan Empire's military expertise, the Helian trade networks, the Stellar Republic's industrial capacity, and the specialized knowledge of smaller species will all be essential. Kim gestured to a final display showing construction timelines and resource allocation charts. We have 7 years to prepare this galaxy for the greatest threat it has ever faced. The Federation's old structure of dominance and submission will not work against an enemy that views all organic life as equally worthless. Instead, we will build a true cooperative where each species contributes according to their strengths, rather than being forced into predetermined roles. Your civilizations will retain their independence while working together toward the common goal of survival. Admiral Tiaran looked at his fellow council members and saw the same recognition in their eyes. Everything they had believed about their position in the galaxy had been wrong. They were not the dominant power imposing order on primitive species. They were one part of a larger civilization that had been protected by guardians they never knew existed. Dr. Kim concluded his address with words that would reshape galactic politics forever. The age of conquest is over. The age of cooperation has begun. Together we might survive what is coming. Separately, we will certainly perish. The transmission ended, leaving the former Federation leadership to contemplate a future where their survival depended on working with the species they had spent centuries trying to control. The galaxy had learned that true strength came not from dominating others, but from protecting them until they were ready to protect themselves. Ambassador Lisa Chun walked through the crystalline corridors of what had once been the Federation War Council headquarters. The building had been transformed into the center of the new galactic cooperative, its war rooms converted into research laboratories and diplomatic conference centers. Representatives from dozens of species worked side by side, sharing knowledge that had been jealously guarded for centuries. 8 months had passed since humanity revealed itself to the galaxy. The transition from Federation rule to cooperative governance had proceeded more smoothly than anyone had dared hope. Species that had been enemies for generations were learning to work together under the patient guidance of human mediators. Chun paused at an observation window overlooking the main research facility. Below, human scientists worked alongside Corvan, military engineers and Helian trade specialists to develop new defensive technologies. The site would have been impossible under the old Federation system, where each species guarded their technological advantages. Ambassador Chun, we have the latest reports from the Outer Rim monitoring stations. Chun turned to see Dr. William Park approaching with a data tablet containing intelligence updates from the Deep Space Sensor Network. Park had been one of the scientists responsible for detecting the approaching machine intelligence, and he now coordinated the galaxy-wide early warning system. What are we seeing out there, William? Park activated the holographic display in the observation lounge. The three-dimensional map showed the current position of the machine fleets, still advancing steadily toward inhabited space but now under constant surveillance by human monitoring equipment. The good news is that our timeline estimates were accurate. We still have 6 years and 4 months before they reach the outer edge of our defensive perimeter. The concerning news is that they're larger than we initially calculated. The display zoomed in to show individual machine vessels. Each one was a massive construct of metal and exotic materials, designed purely for the destruction of organic life. Their technology showed no concern for the comfort or safety of crews because they carried no living beings. How much larger? Chun asked. Our current estimates put their total fleet strength at over 15 million vessels. The largest individual ships are approximately 50 kilometers in length and carry enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Chun studied the projections with growing concern. Even with humanity's advanced technology and the combined resources of all galactic species, they would be severely outnumbered when the final confrontation came. What about our own preparations? Park switched the display to show construction activities throughout the galaxy. Massive shipyards orbited every major world, producing vessels that combined human technology with the unique capabilities of different species. The new ships were unlike anything that had existed under Federation rule. The Corvan battle cruisers equipped with human shield generators are performing better than expected in combat trials. The Helian fast attack ships with quantum displacement drives can outmaneuver anything we've ever built. Even the smaller species are contributing specialized systems that enhance our overall capabilities. Chun nodded with satisfaction. The cooperative approach was proving far more effective than the Federation's old method of forced standardization. Instead of making every species adopt identical technologies, humanity encouraged each civilization to develop their unique strengths. Ambassador, there's something else you should see. Park led Chun to a secured section of the facility where representatives from the most recent species to join the cooperative were being briefed on the situation. These were civilizations that had been contacted by Federation scouts in the past, but had managed to avoid forced integration through isolation or defensive alliances. The Zephyrian Collective agreed to full membership yesterday. That brings our total to 43 species committed to the defense effort. Chin watched through the observation window as human diplomats explained the threat assessment to a group of crystalline beings whose natural form allowed them to interface directly with quantum computing systems. Each new species brought capabilities that strengthened the galaxy's chances of survival. How are the former Federation leadership adapting to their new roles? Park smiled, better than expected. Admiral Tiaran has become one of our most effective military coordinators. Once he understood that we weren't trying to dominate his people, he embraced the cooperative model completely. Indeed, Tiaran had proven invaluable in organizing the diverse military forces of dozens of species into a coherent defense strategy. His experience with Federation conquest tactics provided insight into organizing large-scale operations, while human strategic planning ensured that no species was assigned roles that violated their cultural preferences. High Chancellor Malik had similarly adapted to his new position as coordinator of industrial production. The Stellar Republic's manufacturing capabilities, enhanced by human technology, were producing defensive systems at a rate that would have been impossible under the old Federation structure. Chun activated her personal communication device to review the daily status reports from across the galaxy. Every major world showed progress in the massive preparation effort. Defensive installations were being constructed, populations were being trained in emergency procedures, and research teams were working around the clock to develop new weapons and defensive systems. William, what's the latest assessment from our strategic planning committee? Park consulted his data tablet before responding. The combined military analysis suggests we have a 63% probability of successful defense if the machine fleets arrive on schedule. Those odds improve significantly if we can delay their advance or reduce their numbers before they reach our primary defensive positions. Chun found the statistics both encouraging and sobering. A 63% chance of survival was far better than the 0% chance the galaxy would have faced without human intervention, but it still meant that success was far from guaranteed. She walked to the Central Command Center where representatives from every member species monitored the galaxy-wide preparation effort. The room buzzed with activity as coordinators tracked the progress of construction projects, research initiatives, and military training programs across hundreds of worlds. Ambassador Chun, we have an incoming transmission from Earth. President Santos appeared on the main display, speaking from the Global Defense Council chambers in Geneva. Behind her, Earth's leaders could be seen coordinating humanity's contribution to the galactic defense effort. Lisa, how are our new allies adapting to the cooperative structure? Better than we hoped, Madam President. The species that were integrated into the Federation by force are eager to contribute to something they chose to join rather than were forced to accept. We're seeing innovation and cooperation at levels that the old system never achieved. Santos nodded approvingly. The reports from our research facilities are equally encouraging. The combination of different species' approaches to the same problems is producing solutions none of us could have developed alone. Chun gestured to the activity around her. The aquatic tribe's understanding of fluid dynamics has revolutionized our shield technology. The crystalline collective's quantum processing abilities have improved our targeting systems by orders of magnitude. Even the smallest member species are contributing essential innovations. What about resistance to the changes? Minimal and decreasing. Most species recognize that their survival depends on cooperation. The few groups that initially resisted have come around once they saw the benefits of voluntary participation rather than forced compliance. Santos consulted her own reports. Our intelligence analysis suggests the machine intelligence has encountered and destroyed over 40 civilizations in the past 1,000 years. None of them had advance warning or time to prepare. We're the first organic species to have 6 years of preparation time. Shin walked to the tactical display showing the galaxy's new defensive network. Hundreds of installations formed a protective barrier around inhabited space, each one equipped with the most advanced technology humanity and their allies could produce. Madam President, there's something else the galaxy has gained from this transition. For the first time in centuries, species are exploring space for reasons other than conquest or resource extraction. The Helian traders are establishing cultural exchange programs. The Corvan military is teaching defensive tactics rather than planning invasions. The Federation's collapse has freed enormous resources that were wasted on internal conflicts, Santos observed. Resources that are now being directed toward advancement and protection rather than domination. Dr. Park approached with an urgent update. Ambassador, we're receiving signals from the deep space monitoring stations. The machine fleets have just destroyed the Kepler 442 system. That's the closest they've come to inhabited space. Chion felt a chill as she realized the implications. The machine intelligence was no longer a distant threat, but an immediate danger that was steadily approaching their defensive perimeter. How long until they reach our outer sensor network? 18 months at their current rate of advance. Santos spoke from the main display. Lisa, it's time to accelerate our timeline. The galaxy has 18 months to complete preparations that we had planned to take 6 years. Shun activated the emergency coordination protocol that would alert every member species to the changed situation. Across the galaxy, construction schedules would be compressed. Military training would be intensified, and research projects would be prioritized based on immediate defensive needs. All species coordinators to emergency session in 30 minutes, she announced through the facility's communication system. As representatives hurried toward the main conference chamber, Chun reflected on how much had changed since humanity revealed itself to the galaxy. The species that had once competed for dominance were now working together toward a common goal that transcended their individual ambitions. The machine intelligence approaching from the galactic core represented the ultimate test of whether organic civilizations could overcome their differences to face an existential threat. The old Federation system of domination and submission would never have survived such a challenge. The new galactic cooperative, based on voluntary participation and mutual respect, had already achieved more in 8 months than the Federation had accomplished in centuries. Species were sharing their most advanced technologies, coordinating their military forces, and working together on projects that benefited everyone rather than just the dominant powers. Xion entered the conference chamber where representatives from 43 different species were taking their positions around the circular table. Each delegation brought unique capabilities and perspectives that strengthened the galaxy's chances of survival. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications, Chun began, the situation has changed. Our enemy has accelerated their advance, and will reach our defensive perimeter in 18 months rather than 6 years. Murmurs of concern filled the chamber, but she noticed that no one suggested abandoning the cooperative effort to save their own species. The galaxy had learned that survival depended on unity rather than selfish isolation. This means we must accelerate every aspect of our preparation. Construction schedules will be compressed, military training will be intensified, and research. Priorities will focus on immediate defensive applications. Admiral Tiarn stood to address the assembly. Ambassador Chun, the Military Coordination Committee, has prepared contingency plans for exactly this scenario. We can have defensive positions established within 12 months if all species commit their full industrial capacity to the effort. High Chancellor Malik nodded in agreement. The manufacturing coalition can redirect 90% of our production capability to defense systems. Our civilian populations understand the stakes and will accept the temporary hardships. Council. Member Vera spoke for the smaller species. Even our limited resources will be committed to the common defense. We have learned that cooperation provides security that isolation never could. Sheen looked around the chamber at representatives who had once been enemies but were now working together toward their mutual survival. The machine intelligence approaching from the deep regions of space had unknowingly created the first, truly unified galactic civilization in recorded history. Then we proceed with acceleration protocols. In 18 months, this galaxy will face the greatest test in its history. But we will face it together, as equals committed to protecting not just our own species, but all organic life. The conference chamber erupted in approval from dozens of different forms of communication. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows not to conquer the galaxy, but to unite it. The species that had remained quiet for 2 centuries had finally spoken, and their words had changed everything. The war the galaxy had declared on humanity had become the foundation for something unprecedented in galactic history, a true cooperative, where species worked together by choice rather than force, where strength came from unity rather than domination, and where the survival of one depended on the survival of all. The machine intelligence would soon discover that organic civilizations were capable of far more than they had calculated when they worked together rather than against each other.